Albert Wolstenholme was born at Heeley in Lancashire, England, in 1869. He moved to Tasmania as a young man and married Mary Ann Graham there in 1894. By the following year, they had moved to Dunedin, where their first child was born, and Albert began working as a draper for Herbert Haynes and Company. A second child was born in 1897. Albert had been a gunner in the Volunteer Artillery Unit in Tasmania, and in Dunedin he joined the Cycle and Signal Corps. He was a very good signaller and rose rapidly through the ranks, obtaining a commission in 1902 and becoming the Corps Commander by the time the volunteer system was abolished. He transferred to the new Territorial Army structure in the 4th Otago Regiment, commanding one of its companies, and by the time war broke out in 1914, he was a major. He volunteered for overseas service in March 1915 and was heavily involved in training new troops at Trentham before being selected to be Deputy Commanding Officer of the 4th Battalion of the newly constituted 3rd New Zealand Rifle Brigade. They sailed for Egypt as part of the 6th reinforcements to the New Zealand Expeditionary Force in February 1916. Albert, having recently been awarded the Colonial Auxiliary Force's Long Service Medal and Long and Efficient Service Medal for his 20-plus years of military service. After a short period in Egypt, the combined forces of what was now the New Zealand Division sailed on to France in April 1916, and Albert by then was the Rifle Brigade 4th Battalion's commanding officer. On arrival in Europe, the New Zealand Division was first deployed to the quiet sector of the front line near Armentières in northern France, so they could learn the ropes of trench warfare on the Western Front. Albert was struck down with pleurisy during his first weeks in France and sent to England for 3 weeks of leave. He was back in action by June, however, when the battalion moved into position around Armentières. On the night of 3 July 1916, they came under heavy bombardment by the Germans, with buildings in the town known to be used as unit headquarters particularly targeted. At 11 p.m. the attack seemed to peter out, and the all clear was given. Albert and the battalion's medical officer came up from their shelter in the building cellar to inspect the damage, but had no sooner entered the room they shared when a final shell made a direct hit, killing them both. Albert was buried in the Cité Bonjour cemetery in Armentières and was aged 46.